Right, so now we will have Jean Judes from Israel to share the project that she's doing for children with disabilities.
Okay, can you get it onto the thing? Okay, well, while Georgia is trying to get my presentation on the screen, good afternoon to everybody. On the right-hand side, there'll be international signing, and on the left-hand side, there will be my presentation. Thank you so much, Honourable Chairs, for inviting me to be part of this important discussion on the power of partnerships for changing the reality of one of the most vulnerable groups, children with disabilities. We know from the 2005 UNICEF report that there are 150 million children with disabilities. We know that 80% live in developing countries. We also know that these children are subject to 3 to 5 times more abuse and violence than typical children. And we know and believe that under the CRPD, we have an obligation to ensure that no child is left behind. I'm not sure if this is working. But 150 million is a difficult number to come to grips with. So I'd like to share with you the story of one person behind the statistic, someone who has inspired me and taught me so much from his personal journey. Nawaf, who was born 37 years ago in the Israeli Arab village of Kalansoa, in the center of Israel, has a severe regressive disease. His father died when he was very young, and his mother raised 11 children under very difficult circumstances. As a young child, he was stoned by the children in his community and called a monster. His school wasn't accessible, so his brother carried him on his back to the classroom. And of course, he could not go to the toilet, which led to some embarrassing and humiliating experiences for him. I met Nawaf when he was a young man of 30. He had never been employed. We saw his potential and asked him to join our Izi Sפירא team and to work with us to ensure that the children in his community with disabilities would not have to go through what he went through. Well, from a child who was taunted and victimized, today Nawaf has become a leader and a change agent in Israel. He's invited to sit on government committees, has a strong and broad network of people he influences, and he's deeply involved in changing attitudes in the community. As you can see in this picture, he works in the kindergartens, regular schools, high schools, to change attitudes of the children in his community. And he has in fact won an award for his excellent work. So, before I go on, I'd like to say a word about Izi Sפירא. Izi Sפירא is one of the leading non-profit organizations and works to ensure that our children get the maximum opportunity for growth within the community. We are in fact a grassroots civil society organization, and our influence happens from the bottom up. Our basic belief is that to bring about real change, you must have a multi-layered, holistic approach. Real change cannot occur just through service delivery or just through legislation. Change happens through the complex interchange of expectations, attitudes, services, research, knowledge, and policy. And this is captured in our three-pronged strategy that you see on the slide. Developing replicable models, evaluating and disseminating them, and leveraging them for macro change. Over the last 34 years, we have learned that the secret to succeeding in making significant social change is based on developing broad-based partnerships. And these partnerships are the cornerstone of all our work. It is within our organizational DNA. I really like the African proverb that captures this sentiment so well. If you want to go quickly, do it alone. If you want to go far, do it together. This is a wise and deep proverb that we certainly believe in. So I would like to tell you what we have learned over the years. And basically what we have done is build partnerships on 3 different levels, on the local, national, and international level. I would like to give you an example of all 3 levels. On the local level, I'd like to take you back to Kalanswa, where Nawaf lives. We have succeeded to build new and much-needed services in the community for children and their families through broad partnerships that have included the local municipality, people with disabilities, parents, Indigenous workers, kindergarten school teachers, religious leaders, and influential figures in the community. And because of these alliances, we are now able to continue to develop services and programs. We have also gotten to really the most marginalized children, children whose families are not consumers of disability services. We go into their homes, we reach out to them and build the bridge of trust, and then and help them to become consumers. But one of the things that we know is that in order to go from the local level to the national level, we have to have evidence-based practice. So we really research all the models that we develop on a local level. Today, this morning, a member spoke about the fact that we also have to encourage children to have their voice. We have developed tools, specialized tools to help children to say what they have to say about their experiences. So I'd now like to go to the next level, and that's the national level. In order to achieve national impact, we have to work on two components in parallel: policy and legislation on the one hand, and changing attitudes in the society through education on the other hand. The one without the other is just not enough. An alliance, of course, with the media is another essential component. I'd like to give you an example of how we worked in partnership on this, on a national level. 25 years ago, we built the first early intervention. No, it's going the wrong way. That was it. Okay. 25 years ago, we built the first early intervention centre, and very soon realised that this is a critical service for the development of very young children and their families. And those who are denied the service are at an increased risk. We realised that our responsibility was to ensure the development of such services for all children with disabilities by right, which means that the government has to find the resources to back this policy. Today, someone spoke about disability financing, and we do believe that there has to be a differential distribution of resources when you're talking about equality. So we influenced our parliamentarians. We brought them to Beit Shapira to see our model of early intervention, and they based a law built on our model. But as we have been speaking throughout the day, there's one thing to have legislation, there's another thing to have implementation. So we set up a coalition of 60 organizations, including children's rights organizations, not specifically for disabilities, NGOs, parents' organizations. And we work together to ensure the implementations of these laws and to broaden the criterion so that no child would not be entitled to early intervention. Today, there are 120 early intervention centers in Israel. We have been working together for 14 years as a coalition. And due to this success, we have started working on other important issues for children and their families. Beit Izi Shapira could never have done this alone. It was the strength of the coalition that made this change. It is not easy to develop strong partnerships and alliances, but it is certainly possible. The alliance with the media, when you talk about national change, is obviously very important. Last year, I spoke about how we partnered with Sesame Street and built a character, Sivan, on a wheelchair, and her message, the overt and the implicit and explicit messages that we managed to get through on a national level certainly reinforced the changes of attitudes that we work so hard to make. So now I'd like to go to the third level, the international level. Beit Izi Shapira works with many different countries on different kinds of partnerships. We have research, we do international research with partners, for example, on the family quality of life, families who have children with disabilities. And we give consultation and training in other countries like America, Romania, South Africa, Tarkumia, and other countries. But we also learn so much from different people in other countries. And I'd like to talk about the latest international partnership, global partnership we have made. Beit Izi Shapira believes that technology is really the next breakthrough in the lives of our children. And in the last 3 years, we have started to develop models of working with children with disabilities, with touch devices and new technologies. Our professionals have recently been invited to take part in an international forum, LUDI, founded by the European Union, focusing on sharing and developing new knowledge on the issue of children with disabilities in play. Our professionals will be leading the task force devoted to technology. We have seen how accessible apps are helping our children to communicate, learn, share their feelings and desires and play, and we believe this is one way to reduce risk and increase the quality of life. We would really love to learn what is happening in your countries, and my email will be at the end. We would love to collaborate with other people working in this area, and I would like to end off by sharing with you my deep belief that partnerships can be formed across religion, ethnic and cultural groups, and disabilities is a unifying social issue. Over here we see a picture of mothers from different religious and ethnic groups that we have worked with. Jews, Muslim and Christian Arabs, immigrants from Russia and Ethiopia, working together for a common goal, developing services for their children with disabilities. They have put aside their differences and found their common interest. They have achieved so much together. If they have joined hands, so should we all. As Walt Disney says, if you dream it, you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean, for your very impassioned and enlightened presentation. It's really amazing what your organization is doing and has done for so many years, and bravo to you. And any initiative that involves children, I don't think anyone in this room or anyone will disagree with what you have to say. You know, we're all on board and we support all your endeavors, and a big bravo to you.